Hey Divine Ones. In this video I want to share my familiar story, and I want to talk about my great friend Cleopatra Rose, which is what I named her. And I want to talk about my story of how she came into my life, what's kind of going on now, and really when I took a step back and I meditated on the situation, what I realized and what I really see her for who she was to me. And I know a lot of us out there, we see animals way greater than most of the population. You know what I'm saying? And it's for good reason, good cause, and it's valid. You know what I'm saying? Some animals, they're in survival mode. They can also have entity attachments and things like that. But then there's also animals that come through that are guardians, that are protectors, right? And we call them familiars. And for those who are not familiar with what a familiar is, it's really a spiritual ally. And they often come in animal form. They don't always have to take form. But this is a soul that you've spent, many different lifetimes with, an ally, companionship. And they come to protect, guide you, and, so to speak, amplify your magic. And they're more than a companion. A familiar is a bridge between worlds and a mirror of your soul. So you'll even notice, a lot of times when we have pets and animals that they almost act like us, right? Because they do. They're a mirror to us. So some pets are companions, but a few are more than that. They're protectors, familiars, and guardians of the soul. Cleo came into my life suddenly and unexpectedly. But now I know it was perfect timing, and she arrived just as my soul was waking up, and I had just begun exploring the metaphysical, astrology, starseeds, the Galactic studies, multidimensionality. That was when I met my inner Christos, when I even knew what those terms were, when I really found out I was an indigo, when I found out that I was a Lyran. Cleo was given to me by a good friend. I kind of woke up, and I remember my friend was like, hey, come look in the kitchen, I got a surprise for you. And I'll never forget that day. I had a, cute little, sweet little meowing cat, little barn cat, and I wanted to name her Cleo. And Cleo didn't just sit by my side. I had her for about 4 years. And I'll catch you up on the situation. Right now, I'm kind of in between places, and I have been for about 1.5 years. And I wasn't able to keep Cleo with me at my current location, so I trusted somebody that I really just had a bad feeling about. Always trust your gut. Never go against your gut, guys. Seriously, come on. But really, I had a bad feeling about this particular person. I trusted them with my cat, and really, I don't know what happened, so to speak. I have a good feeling of what happened, but she got out the door. I feel like she's still alive. She has not been found, but we're going to get into this. She's been with me through a lot in these past 4 years. I look back, I'm like, I've done a lot of transformation. I've had multiple different spiritual awakenings in multiple aspects of my life, and I've matured a lot, Not only am I maturing as an adult, but as a spiritual adult. And I have Cleo to thank for this, really. She came in, I didn't see her for who she was when she was right in front of me. But now I know who she is and who she was to me, right? And Cleo didn't just sit by my side. She guided me through karmic release. She comforted me through the darkest moments, and she was home. She felt like home. I feel like a piece of me is gone right now. A piece of me is missing. This is why I was so in deep searching of these answers. I'm like, I want my baby back, right? She was power. She was a mirror to me, and she was who she was. She was wise. She was sovereign, independent. She was to herself. She was sassy, like many cats, but she was more ancient. She saw me, and she remembered me. And when she disappeared, it crushed me. I had a bad feeling about the person she was with, but I ignored my intuition. And really because I had a lot going on in life too. Life was heavy. I had my baby, I had a job I was working. Again, I was in between places, basically kind of homeless in a sense. My relationship was taking a toll on me. Like, I was just really not worried about, I thought Cleo was at a safe place because I could trust this individual where she was at. And really, there was a lot of times on my gut that pulled me to go look for her. Sorry if I end up crying in this video, because I love her so much. And I'm so sorry, and I feel so bad. And I hope this is healing and this helps somebody else. But I ignored my intuition. And I searched, I cried, I never gave up. I put flyers up all around town, around that area where she was released from. I post Facebook posts, I post in the marketplace, I post in different like Facebook posts, not only like in the the citywide yard sale, the citywide lost animal pets, all the Facebook pages and groups I could find, I posted her in. I've walked miles. I went searching for her yesterday, and some say they have seen her. We've gotten hits on Facebook saying they've seen her, but I've noticed that they've only seen her, once, only for a moment, or at night, or at glimpses. Like one lady said she was walking her dog and saw a similar cat that looked to Cleo, but it was at midnight, and that she had ran by real quick. And then another lady said she had fed Cleo one day, but then she had never seen Cleo back, and she feeds cats within the town-wide vicinity. So it's like, that's interesting. You think Cleo would come back for food, right? So, for me to find answers, right? We always want to find answers. We want to find knowing. For me to move on, I'm like, how am I ever going to move on from this? How can I not feel this rip and tear so I can really step into my full power? So I went inward, I meditated, and I got some answers. And that's when I realized that she wasn't lost. She's not lost right now. She's on an adventure. And she's able to cloak herself. We know that cats are multidimensional beings, but let's hold them up at that, right? Cleo is what some would call a threshold guardian. She incarnated as a feline to protect me, to weave dimensions around me during my awakening. During a prominent time in my awakening, a big initiation towards my spiritual awakening. She's not gone. She's in motion. She's guarding, she's watching, she's waiting, however you want to put it, right? And interesting, enough, I used some of my oracle cards, and I found out that, we had lived lifetimes together, not ironically, like, obviously, duh. And in Egypt, in which I thought it was funny because I had named her Cleopatra Rose, and we also were together in Lemuria, and when she had came into my life, again, that's when I got introduced to Lemuria. I rediscovered Lemuria. I was like, okay, I was in Lemuria. I resonate with this. Like, I learned about indigos. I resonate with this. I learned about what a starseed was. I resonated with that. She was around me. That's when she came into my life. It almost opened up that doorway. It did, right? She's my co-guardian, not my pet, right? She's not my possession, but she's my soul ally. And I know in the future we will serve together some more. And if I never see her in the form I met her in this lifetime again, I understand now, sorry, I'm getting tripped up because it's so emotional for me. I understand now who she truly was. Familiars don't die. They shift form, okay? Like all spirits, really. They move between worlds for love, And if this resonated with you, if you have had a familiar story, or if, you've lost an animal you felt a deep connection with, they could possibly have been your guardian, or, possibly you guys lived in, coherence together in lifetimes, doing different things together, And if you've ever lost an animal who was more than a pet, know this. Love like that doesn't disappear. It transforms, it cloaks, it walks with you still. And let's say you have lost a pet and you're not sure if they're your guardian, whatever. The pets, all dogs do go to heaven. Because that movie was so cute. Like, really, all dogs, it was so cute, but it was so sad. Don't get me wrong, it was sad. But all dogs do go to heaven. Animals have spirits too. And I think that's something I had to take from this, was that I had to see her more than just my pet. I knew that, Cleo was a very high vibrational, conscious cat. You know what I'm saying? Just how she would, we were vibing together and how we would telepathically communicate. I know in my dreams, she would always appear in my dreams when she was hungry and stuff like that. She was definitely an interdimensional traveler. But I just had to take a second to really think, to forgive myself, you know what I'm saying? For everything that's happened, that really, in a sense, if I don't ever see her in the same form again, that she served her purpose, and that I will see her again, and maybe she'll come to me again. A part of her will come in a cat form, just a different form of her, maybe, I don't know. Pray I find my Cleo. I still pray she's out there. I feel like right now she's cloaking herself. I feel like she cloaks herself during the day, and then she really comes out at night, because people have only mentioned seeing her at night, really. But I love you guys. Omni love, absolute healing. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And I'd love to hear your familiar story down below.